This Walmart Karen called me a lazy freak for not helping her, so I gave her my manager's number. And what happened 10 years later is unbelievable. Plus update. For the record, I do work for Walmart, and I did at the time of this story. My oldest niece goes to college just a couple hours drive from my home. Every so often, I'd make the drive out on my day off to visit with her and make sure she had everything she needed. Her mom covered the rent on her apartment, and she walked almost everywhere since most stores she needed were within walking distance. The only exception was the local Walmart, so during one visit, she thought of a few things she needed from the store. It was no big deal, so we headed over there. We wandered around and gathered the supplies she needed, which included a few school supplies, a movie that had just been released, and some fabric for her latest cosplay idea. Eventually, we were looking over the game case, commenting on some recent releases and thinking about a purchase, and that's when the customer appeared. She said, "Excuse me, I need a game out of here. Would you unlock it for me?" I replied, "Sorry, I don't work here, but I see the guy with the keys right over there." And just for context, it was my day off. I wasn't wearing anything that could remotely be mistaken for a Walmart dress code, and I certainly didn't have a name tag. The customer snapped back, "No, I recognize you. I know you work here. Please stop being another lazy freak and get me that game." I tried again. "Ma'am, I'm sorry. I don't work here. I can't open any case." She said, "Shut up. Look, I get it. You're lazy. You're flirting with the little twit there. You think you're gonna get in her pants. You work here. It's your job to provide customer service." I was getting frustrated. "Ma'am, this is my niece. She attends college here. I don't even live in this town. Please, Leah." She cut me off. "What's your manager's name? I'm going to file a complaint." At this point, I realized I could have a little fun with this. My manager at the time had a love for snarky behavior and a no-nonsense attitude when it came to customers like this. So, I gave her my manager's name and his cell phone number, knowing he was also off that day. He listened to her complaint, then asked which store she was in because that didn't sound like the kind of person he wanted working under him. She was confused but gave the college town name. I heard him laugh over the phone, loudly. Then he told her, in no uncertain terms, that I don't work at that store and to leave me alone. He then hung up before she could get another word in. The customer turned to me, fuming. "Oh, very funny, getting some friend of yours to cover for you. Now gimme that game." Just then, the actual associate came up and asked which game she wanted. She angrily pointed at it, and he unlocked the case and got a copy out. She sneered at him. "At least someone around here can do their damn job. You need to tell your coworker here to stop thinking with his dick." The local associate said, "Ma'am, he's another customer. He doesn't work here, and please don't use that sort of language in the store." "Another cover story. Screw this," she yelled. The associate calmly replied, "Ma'am, please refrain from swearing in the store. There are children nearby." That's when she completely lost it. She screamed, "Screw you and your whole screwing store and your screwing horny-ass jerks who won't do their screwing jobs. Screw your screwing stuff. I'm going to GameStop." This attracted the attention of the store manager, who came over to see what all the commotion was about. After listening to her profanity-laden rant about the poor customer service, he said, "Ma'am, I'm going to have to ask you to leave. You're harassing other customers," pointing at me and my niece, belittling my staff, pointing at the actual electronics guy, "and your language is not appreciated in Walmart. The exit is this way. If you do not want to leave of your own accord, I can have the police escort you out." It finally sunk in that I was telling the truth all along. The color drained from her face as she slowly walked away, abandoning the cartload of merchandise she'd already selected. On our way out, I noticed her again, just sitting in her car, staring blankly at her steering wheel. Update. So some time ago, I posted that story about my visit with my niece. Well, I just talked to her today, and she had a surprise for me. She ran into that exact Karen who recognized her and apologized. My niece is still in college, working on her doctorate, and she also runs weekly Dungeons & Dragons games at a local game shop to help new players get into role-playing. A pair of twin boys, who she told me are 8 years old, have been regulars since she started, and she's enjoyed having them at her table. Most of the time, they come in with their dad, who plays Magic the Gathering, and he watches them from across the room while he plays with his friends. The owner knows him and the boys well, and one day something came up so he couldn't stick around. He left the boys in my niece's and the owner's care for the 2-hour session. At the end of the session, one of the boys looked out the door and called to his brother that their mom was there to get them. She came in and called for the boys, then stopped short. My niece said she wasn't sure how the woman recognized her, and she had almost forgotten the incident herself until her memory was jogged. But their mom approached her and introduced herself. Ironically, her name turned out to be Karen. She then had the boys go get drinks from the shop owner. It turns out we had encountered her on the worst day of her life. She had just found out her husband was cheating on her and was preparing to file for divorce. She had also lost her job due to cutbacks. Seeing my niece, who apparently looked a lot like her husband's mistress, just caused something inside her to snap. She had wanted to get something for her kid to soften the blow of the divorce and all the changes that were about to happen, and she ended up going off the deep end. In the time since, she had completely turned her life around. She found a new man in her life and had the twins with him, plus she gained full custody of her kid with her first husband. She had also found a new career for herself. She said that day at Walmart stuck in the back of her mind as the person she least wanted to ever be again, and she wanted to live every day being better than that. She never expected to see either of us again. And she likely never will see me again, as I don't have the opportunity to go out there like I used to. But she had always wanted to apologize for the way she acted. So, keep your hearts open, everyone. Change is indeed possible for some of these Karens.